We are in the final stages of Bryce becoming a full-blown archer and taking out everybody at Knock on HQ, which some people are pretty upset about. So they're like, why have I not got lessons? Well, Bryce got the lessons. So I like a perfectly clean slate. When people ask me if you could pick one release to teach people, I am going to tell you a tension activated release. The silverback, if I could go back and do it all again and I could only pick one, I know that would keep me honest longer than anything that I had. So that's where I would start. And honestly, I love the fact that he's a clean slate and he's going through this process. Very dynamic. Okay, you remember your shot process. Let's go ahead. You tell me them.
Stance, grip, shoulder, then shoulder, and then anchor.
Then you're allowed to
then
look.
peep.
And then what's your last thing I want you to be doing?
Finish.
Pulling.
Pulling and finish.
Yep. Yeah. Can't finish until you pull, but yes. All right, man. So for this bow, I use these quite a bit. This is a little Genesis Pro. And what I love about this, if I'm working with students, is I can move the draw length very easily. And here's the other thing that I really, really like about using this for fundamentals, is because this bow is the same draw weight from the start all the way to the finish. So this thing's about 20 pounds, which is actually more holding weight than what Bryce will be shooting on his regular bow. So this bow is going to be much easier. It's going to be about half as hard to pull back, but then once you get to your back wall, you're actually going to be putting in more work on this than when you switch over to a real compound bow that has lead off. Okay? Now, if you're noticing this is a bare bow, that is my personal choice of when I coach. I actually prefer to eliminate a peep and also eliminate a sight because I am judging my student on execution and not on what happens downrange. I rarely give a crap where the arrows go for my students downrange. I want to make sure they're sighted in and I want to make sure I know that they can hit the middle. However, I know, remember your box. If you execute what we talked about, the 6 things we talked about in that box, that arrow will be where we want it to be. And if you execute those 6 things that are in that box and you execute them flawlessly, it is good enough to beat any archer in the world. When you complicate it with different thoughts you have in your head, if you complicate it with changing your posture, if you complicate it with your mechanical devices, then there becomes a lot more factors. But if you just focus on the technique, man, oh man, is this the solid base that just changes people's outcomes and their longevity in archery. So for right now, Bryce, what I want you to do, I'm just going to have you get used to loading an arrow. So with these arrows right here, honestly, these are a 4-fletch, so I just shoot them as an X. If you feel on an arrow, a knock always has one side, which honestly, you know exactly what these feel like. So that little notch is actually, if you ever grab an arrow, and if you've indexed these right, if you grab an arrow, if you feel that, you know it just needs to go to your thumb side, and that way if you ever have to clip it on, that way you're just loading your arrow the same all the time. Okay. So I'm going to load that arrow in that D loop. And then, yeah, just flip that rest up for now. Again, this is a very, very simple system so that he can just get the feel of what a bow feels like pulling back and what a bow feels like when it goes off. Okay, number 1 rule, what is it?
Safety.
Love it. Okay, so I'm going to have you do everything we talked about. You're going to pull till that stops. This bow is set up to 29 inches, same as his release trainer that we worked on. So when that bow stops, I want you to anchor first, just like we talked about. And there's not a peep in the string, so all I want you to do is the nose fundamental. From the nose from 12 o'clock, just turn it until you get that nose on the tip of the string. And from there, when you're comfortable, I don't care, just hold it somewhere in the middle of that bail, let off slow, and just continue to build pressure. When the release goes off, follow through, okay?
Okay.
All right, man. You are ready. Nice. Good job. Tip of the nose on the string. There you go. There you go. Beautiful, beautiful. Nice. Oh, yeah. There's some people that are going to go down in town. Oh, this is going to be sweet. 2v2. I'm picking Bryce. This is going to be awesome. All right. That was, dude, high five, by the way. That was as good of a shot as I could ever make right there. If all you ever do is that for the rest of your life with archery, you are going to be in a dang, dang good place. All right, man, give me another one. Yep. Arrows in the rest and things like that, they're going to be a little bit cumbersome. It's like, as basic as that seems, when I tried to teach myself how to play guitar, like how awkward a pick felt and like how I never knew if I was holding it right and I dropped it all the time. That was like just part of it. It seems so basic, like loading an arrow, but that will come, I promise you. All right, so before this shot, here's what I want you to do. I want you to be ready to go, which is great. You're doing an awesome job of keeping that on the inside and always keeping your bow to the target. That is superb. What I want you to do before this shot and before the next shot, I just want you to close your eyes and I want you to visualize those steps. And I want you to go through them systematically in your head. And as you think about it, I want you to think about what your feet would look like, what they would feel like if it was a perfect situation. I want you to think about putting your hand in that perfect spot, what that would feel like. Just visualize a shot. Take 10 seconds, visualize a shot, open your eyes, hold that safety down, and execute what you visualized. Oh, yes. Beautifully done. Oh, yes. All right. One more. I love it. I'll never forget in the last video I talked about Fred Van Zoofen teaching me how to properly pull and finish my shot. So at that same event, I actually had a student there from the UK, and him and I ended up meeting each other in the quarterfinals. And by the last end, with 2 arrows left to go, I'm like, he's got me. I knew he had me. And as soon as his last arrow went off and that thing landed into the 10, he looked at me and he's like, I am so sorry. And I told him, I said, do you know how happy I am? If I'm going to get beat, I want to be beat by someone that I taught. Like, there's nothing more rewarding than a student doing better than you've ever done. And that feeling, every time I have someone that comes up to me at attack, or I meet somewhere and I look at their setup and I know they've watched a couple School of Knocks, or I know that they've gone, or I just watch them and I see them look at their feet and I see them look at their grip, and I know they're following the fundamentals that they've seen. When their arrow hits the middle and mine doesn't, I am so happy. That is the most rewarding thing. So please do this, because I live through all of you, the Knock On Nation. Every time you guys tag us in a video and I see a shot like that, man, does it make my day. All right, buddy. One more, here we go. Visualize and conquer. Good job. Good job. Yes. All right. Okay, hang that up, take a little break. When you are working with the beginner or when you're first starting out, one of the things that you're going to find is that you're using brand new muscles. Some of these muscles, even though they're minor, I mean, you're a wrestler, I know you're in good shape. Is something already feeling a little bit tired?
Yeah.
Okay. These are such small muscles that you haven't used in coordination, and honestly, even if you're a brute beast, I've seen the biggest bodybuilders not be able to pull a bow back because they're not doing it with coordination, they're just trying to beast through it. And so there's going to be some small muscles like that that are going to fatigue. The way to minimize that is shorter ends, so fewer arrows per round. One round is an end. So just do less arrows, and when you pull, take a little bit of a break, come back. If you were at a tournament, there's always 2 different lines to shoot for one round. So like if this was Vegas, there'd be 4 targets on that one face. And so the first line would come up and each one of them would shoot their target on the top, and then the next line would come up, and then those 2 guys would shoot the 2 on the bottom. So you have someone else's shooting as a rest period, and that really helps you in a tournament situation. When you're practicing at home, you can either do the full-blown power practice, but in the beginning stages, I would recommend just shooting a few arrows, taking it slow, because doing it the right way slower is going to just imprint this into your mind.